Hello, Sankalp listeners. Namaskara. Ravi Bale here again for the A Few Minutes with podcast by the Seniors Growing Young group. With me today is Asha Vombatkere. Vombatkeres are quite well known, because we may not know some of the interesting snippets about being an army wife and also her background becoming army wife. Asha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ravi. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So first, if you can tell me about your background as to birth, brought up, education, and how you met Sudhir and whatnot.
It's a strange beginning because I was born in Dhaka, which was neither Bangladesh nor Pakistan in those days because I'm a pre-partition product. I was born in Dhaka because my father was working there, and we came away in 46 as refugees.
It sounds like a period podcast.
Yes. We came away as refugees in 46 because the riots had started by then. But fortunately, my father had opted to come to India, so he already had a small job waiting for him in the Forest Research Institute in Dehradun, and that's where we came. And that is the place where I grew up. I did my schooling there, and while I was in the final year of my school, Sudhir came to the Indian Military Academy, which is next door to the Forest Research Institute, and that's how I met him.
A little more about how this meeting turned into a marital affair.
That sounds a little okay. I was in my school final year, and Sudhir came as a gentleman cadet, that's what they were called, in the military academy. And since ours was the only Konkani family in Dehradun, all Konkani cadets who came to the academy would gravitate to our place because my mother was a wonderful cook. I think most of them came for the food, but incidentally, they used to meet me also.
Are you sure? Were they coming only for food or to see
yes.
you also?
Oh yes, no. At
Like
that
Sudhir
time,
did.
maybe Sudhir did, but you'll have to ask him that. And it was nice because I got to know them, I got to know more about army life, and whatever I heard and saw, I liked. But I was in my school final year then, and I was very busy. It was senior Cambridge, and I took my studies very seriously. But Sudhir and I became good friends because we had a lot in common, interests, conversation. It was fun to be with him. And then I finished my senior Cambridge, and he was in his final term as a cadet. And after I finished my senior Cambridge, I was thinking of life ahead, and I'd always wanted to do architecture. So I decided to appear for the entrance exam at the Roorkee College of Engineering, which those days was supposed to have the best school of architecture. I managed to get a seat there, and I was all set to go there. And then wham, it happened. The day before Sudhir was to leave after his third term, he proposed to me.
How old were you two were at the time?
I was 17 and he was 20.
Okay, he proposed then.
But somehow, I don't know whether it was an impulse or it was something I knew deep down inside me. I accepted, in spite of the fact that I had planned a career for myself. And then I asked him, I said, but my parents? He said, I've already spoken to your parents. And so that's how it happened.
Wait a sec, you're 17 and 20.
Yeah.
Nowadays, even the 27s and 30s are not quite sure about.
Well, I think a lot of it was both of us being fortunate, and we've always blessed our luck. It just happens. Sometimes it happens. Maybe marriages are made in heaven. I don't know. But ours seems to have been because neither he nor I have ever regretted this. Now, the problem for me was that I had got admission for architecture, but all colleges in Delhi had closed. If you're wondering why I was worried about colleges in Delhi, remember I was 17 and I had no intention of getting married at this age. Though I had accepted him, I was very, very pragmatic. I said, as an army wife, I must have a degree under my belt. And so I had to do a degree in college. And I didn't want to do it in Dehradun. The colleges weren't particularly good. I wanted to go to Delhi. And all admissions had closed. So that's when we had to approach people who had influence, and somehow we managed to get an application form. Fortunately, I had done well in my senior Cambridge with an All India rank. So I think the college authorities waived the last date, etc. And I managed to get admission in one of the best colleges in Delhi University, and that was Miranda House. And I joined for English Honours. Sudhir, of course, went on to one more term as a cadet and then went on to become an officer in the Indian Army. And he, of course, was not happy about my wanting to wait for 3 years, but I think in the long run it was a good thing. The families got to know each other. And we got to know each other much, much better. So
you married after this, your honors course was over?
Yes. We got married in 65, and that's the beginning of my married life, my life in the Indian Army.
So you knew that an army career would take him around anywhere, any minute. So you were prepared, as it appears.
No, I think at that time, let me be very frank, at that time my sole aim was to get married, have children and bring up a good family. It's only later that I thought that maybe I could utilize my talents for something more. But I think for me, the best use of my talents as a teacher, as somebody who had something to contribute, was to bring up two good children. So that's what I did.
So you did some teaching, English teaching in places?
I didn't take it up as a career. I taught wherever Sudhir was posted, from Ladakh down to Chennai, from Assam to Pune, Bangalore, Delhi, wherever he was posted. I picked up a job. It didn't matter to me that I was considered the junior most teacher because I would join new. I loved teaching. It was a passion with me. So it didn't matter where I taught or which class I taught, though generally they gave me the higher classes, because after my BA honors, I did an MA from Madras University, and then I did a postgraduate diploma in the teaching of English language from the Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, I think, which has been mentioned earlier by Dr. Rajgopal.
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. So, unfortunately, that made me too qualified for the lower classes, which is where I really loved teaching. But it was okay. Teaching was teaching, and I loved every minute of it.
Nice. Being an army wife with two kids, was there any low points and high points? Are there some incidents that sticks out top of your mind?
The low points, I think, were immediately after I got married, because 65, that's when we had our war with Pakistan, and Sudhir was immediately posted to a forward area on the battle lines, and I was expecting our first child, so I had to go to where my parents were in Dehradun. It was not simply that he was there at the war. It was what went through my mind, because every morning I would see lists of soldiers who were killed, soldiers who were missing, believed killed, and soldiers who were wounded. And I would pick up the paper with a lot of fear in my mind and look for a name which I really didn't want to find there. Fortunately, I was lucky and my husband came back. He came back with just a blasted ear, but he came back to me. Fortunately, the other fortunate thing is, what he told me about what happened in the war was after he came back. I'm glad I didn't know until he was home safe, because some of what he told me was really very scary.
Did Sudhir, at the time of marriage or before, during your dating time, promise anything or give a rosy picture?
Oh, quite the contrary. He told me the day he proposed to me, he suddenly stopped and he said, Asha, if you have any ambitions of seeing your husband rise to the rank of a brigadier or a major general, I'm not the person for it. So I was a little taken aback. I said, why? He said, I'm very frank. I speak my mind, and that's generally not appreciated. So I don't see myself going beyond the rank of a major. So if that's okay by you, then we can go ahead. But otherwise, I think we should call it off right away.
Yeah.
But I think in my mind, I don't think I saw beyond getting married to the man, the person. I don't think it really mattered where he was going to end up as a major or a major general or the chief of army staff. So I told him it didn't matter. And to this day, it doesn't matter.
He underpromised and over-delivered.
Yes. I've always been very happy with whatever has come our way in army life.
Being frank and honest with you right away at that time, he was...
I think that's one of the things I liked about him, because he could easily have glossed over it, and later it's happened with so many wives who have had very disappointing marriages because they expected their husbands to go up and they didn't. But I think he was frank up front, which is what he was telling me about, that he's frank up front with bosses and maybe with his future boss like his wife.
His personality was made for army career. I think army is, I'm getting an impression this is frankness and being honest. You have to compromise a lot in many other areas, especially in India. But army will accommodate. That's why I guess he has reached the Major General grade.
Or maybe it's just plain luck.
The luck favors the brave. That's what happened. Did you take part in any of the welfare activities?
Welfare has always been considered very important. Genuine welfare, I think, is what a lot of us looked out for. We've been able to help army wives do things they wanted to do. Like we had South Indian army wives who wanted to learn Hindi. They couldn't speak a word of Hindi. So we would get them teachers who could teach them how to read, write and speak Hindi. Then there were army wives who wanted a little more education to be able to manage bank accounts, manage day-to-day life when their husbands are not with them. All this kind of help was very rewarding for us, because you could see the way these women flourished, the way, the gratefulness with which they made new lives for themselves. Then we've had children of Jawans who needed medical attention and they were somehow not able to get it. And if we could use our knowledge of how to go about it, we were able to help them. And that was all very rewarding. To teach, to get them to be taught things they wanted to know rather than what we thought they should know. I think that was what was, for me personally, a very rewarding experience.
So fitting into army life as a family, different locations, different circumstances, was there any cultural modification you had to do?
No, that is the wonder of the army. We have various cultures from the north to the south, from the east to the west. We have various religions, various languages, but they have never come in the way of friendship, cooperation, of adjustment, of helping each other. In fact, that is one of the best learning experiences I as an army wife have had and my children have had. We've learned to adjust, to help, to do everything peacefully. There's never been a cultural adjustment problem, whether you're a North Indian, a South Indian, whether you're somebody who knows
Food,
English.
drinking, dancing.
No, that is really, it's overrated and exaggerated. There are some stations, big stations, where the social life is a little more, but by and large, army life is simple. There is a mess where people get together, but it's more for fun, it's more to share, it's more to laugh together, to help each other. When a new wife comes into the station, the senior officer's wife takes her under her wing, and all the other wives help until she settles in. All her meals are provided by different wives. This is the kind of thing one doesn't see in civil life at all. So kind of camaraderie is something which I cherish.
So there are some privileges, facilities, and as well as rewarded feelings,
Yes.
fulfillment. Other than this is compared to civilian life.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would have missed in the military life that is available only in civil life?
No, I don't think so. In fact, I think I've got more. For instance, I was very fond of sports and fond of athletics and basketball and table tennis and badminton. I found that after joining the army, shall I say, as a wife, I could add to these experiences. I had opportunity to learn squash, to learn rowing. I had opportunity to do sailing and windsurfing and paragliding, which I think my counterparts in civil life would find it very difficult to get. I mean, they would have to pay a lot and they would have to go to particular places. But I got all these opportunities. And one of the best things was when Sudhir was posted to Ladakh. I think you already interviewed him on that. But I just want to add that because I was in Ladakh with him and because I was prepared to rough it out, that's one thing. An army wife has to learn to rough it out if she's really to make the most of the opportunities that army life throws her way. I was able to visit Demchok, which was recently in the news because of Chinese activity there.
Yes.
And I saw the river, that's where the river Indus enters India. Then I also visited a smaller place called Chulichang, where the river Indus leaves the LOC, I won't say India, because it enters Pakistan occupied Kashmir or POK. All this was possible only because my husband was in the army.
So this life is not only balances out, it outweighs any of the for your lifestyle, especially your personality.
Yes,
than the civilian life, which is more predictable, it may be safe, risk-free and stable.
Yeah.
But you enjoyed this without any regrets.
So did our children. They benefited from going to schools all over the country, learning to adjust, making new friends. They benefited from the various activities that I benefited from. We all went trekking. In fact, the best trek I've had was, I think my husband has already mentioned it, this trek to Karakoram, where all of us were able to go. This is on the fabled Silk Route. The whole trek was over 15,000 feet, and we went to Karakoram Pass, which is on the fabled Silk Route to China.
Yeah.
Very few people would have had this opportunity. I don't know if anyone will get this opportunity now that all this problem is there with China. But I was fortunate enough to do that. And I'm really grateful for what the army has given my husband and given me. It's given us something that it's difficult to really express, even in an interview like this with your wonderful questions.
I know. Really, life's of fulfillment, as I see it.
Yes.
I'm fortunate to have known you.
And I must say, I'm really fortunate that we decided to come and settle down in Mysore, which has got the most wonderful people, and especially to then shift to Sankalp Central Park, which we did nearly 6 years back. And the lovely community here, among them people like you, we have really, I think, been very, very fortunate. And I'm hoping that this will be the last place we live in, on this earth at least, and maybe
in this Janma.
In this Janma, because moving from here, I definitely won't have to pack.
Okay, that's nice concluding remarks. Thank you very much, Asha, for your time to share some of these exhilarating experiences and feelings, gratification about being in an army family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. It was a pleasure to have you and to discuss this with you.